What's good, ladies and gents? Welcome back to MKO Pugilism, aka MKO Boxing, where we talk all things boxing. Remember to like and subscribe on YouTube, follow on TikTok, all that good stuff. So let's talk about what happened last night, aka early hours of this morning for us over here in the UK. And that was the return of Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder against Tyrell Anthony Herndon. Now, Herndon is a guy that was basically a fan of Deontay Wilder, a very low-level opponent, but Deontay Wilder is a guy that, he's fought this guy to sort of build his confidence up. Going into this, I was expecting a Deontay Wilder knockout a bit earlier than what we saw, because what we saw on last night was a seventh round, and it was a TKO rather than a knockout, with the referee coming in and waving the fight off. And, Herndon, he's a guy, he's also been ironed out by guys like F.A. Jagbar, and, never really been any threat at anywhere close to world level. Very much the sort of journeyman type that goes in, moves around, gives it a go. And in this fight, what we saw was Tyrell Herndon sort of moving around the ring, saying that before the fight he was talking about Joseph Parker and how he would emulate what Joseph Parker did. And we know Joseph Parker gave Wilder a serious beatdown. He outboxed Wilder, but was letting his hands go, letting combinations rip, and Wilder was just kind of frozen like a deer in the headlights. It was like he just terrified to throw the trigger against Parker. But in this fight, you had Herndon sort of moving around the ring, trying to copy a few moves from Joseph Parker. But the problem he had was that he wasn't letting his hands go. He wasn't, he was hardly throwing a punch, just moving. Nothing really coming from him. But for Deontay Wilder, it was good, because Deontay, he got to do his thing. He got to sort of practice whatever he's been working on in the gym. Overall, with Wilder, the good signs were that at least he was letting his hands go, unlike the Parker and Zhang performances where he seemed sort of, petrified to let his hands go. He was just kind of frozen, just there with a guard up, and not really doing anything. To his credit, in this fight against Herndon, a particularly low-level guy, he was letting his hands go, letting the jab go, doing some half-decent fundamentals in there, throwing a few combinations. But as always with Deontay Wilder, one thing, everyone said from the beginning, very technically poor as a pro. I think he actually looks better as an amateur. So there was loads of technical holes in Wilder's game, and it was just a case of, well, you're in there with someone that's so poor that they can't capitalize on it. So Wilder, yes, he won the fight. He looked okay, but he also looked very vulnerable, and he looked like he lost a step in there. The speed and the zip wasn't there. And we were all talking about in his previous couple of performances about he just needs to chuck that right hand, just throw it with some conviction and some zip. And in this fight, he did let the right hand go, but it had no real authority on it. It was almost as if he threw it, and it was almost as if the right hand aged overnight as he tried to throw it. So he let his hands go in there, but it was very uncoordinated. It was very messy. It was very sort of novice-y, and it looked like he's definitely lost a step, Deontay Wilder. He looked like you could tell that he's definitely sort of got older. He won the fight very, very comfortably, but I kind of expected it to sort of go earlier, given how low level this guy is. I've expected him to let it go early, and as soon as this guy tastes it, that'll be it. But you could argue there should have been 3 knockdowns. I think there was like 2 in total. And Wilder pretty much just had his own way with this guy. But you could visibly see that he's lost a step, because he won, and he won very easily, but you could tell that the balance wasn't there. He's at times he's still doing, still is a little bit more sort of measured in the way he's throwing his punches, but you could tell he's sometimes sort of off balance with what he throws. He's still got that kind of awkward, sort of novicey vibe about him. And yeah, he gets a stoppage in the end in the seventh round, 2 minutes 16 seconds there of the seventh. And it was a case of yes, I reckon the guy could have been knocked out cold, but also the guy could have been, that Herndon could have been given a chance to sort of carry on. I think the referee was just sort of looking for any excuse, because it wasn't one of these fights where, yeah, Wilder had him and he was all out on his feet, and like back in the old days when one punch would just switch your lights off. It seemed that he definitely lost something, and Herndon, yeah, he was hurt, but he might have been able to survive through that round and given another little chance there. But the referee was just looking for that opportunity, steps in and ends proceedings. And yeah, this is one of them where I would say it will give Wilder his confidence back. But we've got to remember, don't get carried away with it, because this is a made-to-order opponent. So for me, yes, credit to Wilder for winning it very, very clearly. But when you watch the fight, it's on YouTube now and everything. It was on BLK Prime. You watch the fight and you'll see, just like me, that he's definitely, you can see that he's aged. You can see that there's a lack of snap in his punches. So again, he's talking about going after Usyk and going after heavyweight titles, but for me, based on that performance, I reckon anyone that's in the upper, anyone sort of top 15, top 20 will iron Deontay Wilder out, and that's because he's kind of slowed down a step. And you'll be all the smart boxers, just like Zhilei Zhang. He's not the fastest, but Zhilei Zhang could, he just saw everything coming. And I reckon, as much as before this fight, I was thinking, yeah, I want to see him with Anthony Joshua. I mean, both of them are well past their best, past their sell-by dates at the time. We're coming off big knockout losses. But I think even at this point, of the two of them, I reckon if he gets in there with Anthony Joshua takes him out. I reckon Anthony Joshua takes him out, really, because the only way he doesn't is if he just freezes or something like that. But I think Anthony Joshua, with any sort of ambition, he'll be able to read what Wilder does, because Wilder's slowed down a bit, and I think Anthony Joshua bashes him up at this point. And Anthony Joshua, another one where I think, yeah, he's, basically at this point, end of his career. So, yeah, I don't know what they're going to do with Wilder next, but I think, as I said, if he goes anywhere near the top, sort of top 20 guys, top 15, top 20 guys, if he fights anyone at that level, or goes in with an Anthony Joshua, I think he's going to get beat. I think he'll get ironed out, because he's clearly deteriorated, and the coordination's all gone, and the snap in his punches is all gone. So I just think it's he may as well, I suppose, if he's got the ambition, go against somebody. But if I was Deontay Wilder, who still want to fight, I'd go against one of the big names. Go take a chance with someone, like a Joshua, or like any of those names that you can get, because at least, okay, you might lose, but you'll take home a lot of money with it. So yeah, anyway, let me know what you thought about this. I thought good on him for winning. He's got a bit of confidence, but against made-to-order opponent. But again, anyhow, he goes in against someone in the upper echelon of the heavyweight division, he gets done, he gets dealt with. So let me know your thoughts, and until next time, it's MKO Boxing, over and out.